Welcome back to Liquid Lunch. I'm Michael Fumafredo here with John Tobacco. We've just finished off the last segment talking about the riots a little bit, what happened at Capitol Hill. And while we don't necessarily agree with what happened, a lot of news outlets are making us out like the bad guy. And
you are the bad guy,
we are
Mike.
I'm the bad guy?
You're the bad guy.
Why, because I'm leaving you?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know, when you
can depend on you, find out you're not dependable. Now you got to go back to California. You know, I had my friend Midge filled in for me last week. She's a huge influencer. You can find her on Instagram now under MAGA Midge. She used to be Fog City Midge, but they blocked her. But she was here a couple of weeks ago. She spent a couple of days in New York, and she said, "JT, like." I showed her, like, you know, a great pork store, my friend Freddie's place, where they have all these Italian delicacies, and John's Deli, where they make these unbelievable roast beef sandwiches
God, those
with the
are
fresh
good.
mozzarella
Those are good.
and the brown gravies. And I mean, you couldn't get this anywhere else in the country. I took her to an amazing bakery. You know, she just never understood what Staten Island's about. So I showed her the food side of it, and she said to me, "There are more carbohydrates in Staten Island than there are in the entire state of California."
You're right.
Like, I have never seen this many carbs in my life.
and I learned she's also a USC alumni there.
Exactly.
So
so maybe
small world. Yes,
You're not the only one.
But yeah, I am gonna miss pizza. I am gonna miss my bacon, egg, and cheeses in the morning. And John, I'm gonna miss you.
Well, you got to go to Rocco's.
Rocco's
is on the UCLA campus.
Right? Oh no, we don't go there.
What do you mean? Those are guys from Staten Island. I know those guys. At least they make a decent New York style
yeah,
pizza.
But there. UCLA, like.
Nah, I'm just saying. But you know, I'm talking about these are New Yorkers.
We got to see.
Manos, Leo Omari, all the boys are out there. Roger.
Well, Fat Sal's is another one too.
Fat Sal's is my buddy Sal Capek. He's out there. He's a Staten Islander too. We got some roots out there in Cali.
We do.
You know, but all right, so. You wanted to talk, you wanted to go on a little rant here. And being that I'm letting you do the last day of the show here as the host, then you have to do some crazy rants to see if you learned anything. So what was the rant that you want to do?
I mean, I've just been watching
I'm grading you, by the way.
I'm just watching all these news outlets, CNN, NBC, all the left news outlets over there. They're all against us in every way possible, talking about these riots. They've said that it's Trump's fault. They said that it's just a ludicrous by the entire Trump support team. But let me take you back in time to November, more specifically November 3rd, November 2nd, where we watched as places in Pennsylvania, New York, California, all of them were boarding up their small businesses, their windows, even the bigger corporations too. They were getting prepared for a full-on riot, John, if Trump were to win. And I know they weren't doing it if Biden won, because at the end of election night, Biden was up and everyone was pretty much fine. They started taking them down the next day.
Well,
so,
I was in Washington, the other day, and there's still a lot of stores boarded up in Washington. I'm in Manhattan here and there, and there's still a lot of stores boarded up in Manhattan. So,
well, are those because they're closed down, or they're prepared for a riot?
I don't know. And it sure seems like some of them are closed down. I think over 15,000 restaurants have closed in America. I think 33% of the businesses out there are either closed temporarily or for good. Profits are off like 40% on most of the small businesses in America. And Mike, at the same exact time, Walmart announced a few weeks ago that they're going to pay $700 million in bonuses. So, does it even make sense for some of these small businesses to take the boards down and open when they're not in a fair fight?
Yeah, they don't have the money or anything. Just like here at Max, we're fighting a tough uphill battle, and it doesn't seem like there's an inevitable end.
No. Look, we're fighting them off with weird ways. We got the TV studio inside the grounds of the pub. We got a church outside now, so we got some First Amendment protections. Tomorrow night we'll be doing a little comedy show here, so if anybody's interested in getting out of the house on a Saturday night, give me a ring, shoot me a direct message, and you can get a ticket to the. We got a bunch of stand-up comics coming in. We're doing Saturday Night Live Staten Island style tomorrow night. But
I like
you know,
it.
a lot of other businesses are still struggling, Mike. And you know, small business owners across this country employ 80% of the people in this country. Donald Trump was on this huge trajectory until the COVID hit us, and we got smacked around. But the market's still hanging tough, most of the gains. But just the employment numbers came out today, and we were actually down 40,000 jobs last month when we've been on a trajectory of gaining back jobs. So the second wave of lockdowns is causing a lot of people who are thinking about hiring people back to kind of lay them off again or fire them again. And it looks like, you know, Joe Biden's going to take office with a major downturn on his hands.
Yeah, and when you look at it in New York, I mean, California, they're obviously hit hard right now, but it's a lot easier to have outdoor dining in California this month than it is to have it in New York. I mean, even if it were Max and we had a restaurant out back instead of a church, would you eat here in the dead of winter?
I'd eat here, but it's freezing out.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
You're freezing in here half the time. You're wearing hats.
I mean, you know, it's not conducive. And, you know, a lot of people see these beautiful outdoor things built, these temporary little indoor shelters and stuff, right? And a lot of people saying, well, okay, well, they made the outside into the inside, and we're fine. I guess it's okay, you know. Now in New York State and other states, from what I understand, they're stepping up their efforts to remove that stuff. And they're saying you can't have 4 walls on an outdoor thing. And, you know, any place that it's not hot, if you don't have 4 walls and some heaters, then you're basically effectively shutting the place down. So everybody's going takeout.
I don't want my steak to get cold just because it's sitting outside all the time. But, I mean, what if we open the door? Does that count as outdoor dining now?
No. I mean, one of my friends, she's a great woman, great entrepreneur. She spent, you know, $40,000 or $50,000 in making her outdoor area conducive to outdoor seating that's heated and stuff. She put windows and doors and all this other stuff, so there was ventilation. You have to have air ventilation, 50% of the wall space. She put in windows and doors and all this stuff. And one random agent just comes along and says, no, not acceptable, can't open. And she's like, well, I meet all the things. And well, that's not how I see it. And if you open, I'm going to take your license. So, you know, they're really still putting heavy pressure here in New York. I see the lady out at the Pineapple Saloon in California, and in Michigan, they're fighting the good fight. Minnesota, there's people everywhere are just fed up. But the long arm of the government and the law doesn't seem to be letting up. And this COVID monster, you know, I wonder why all these states have the vaccine now. And like in New York, they can't get it out fast enough. So we're not worrying about like how much did we do. We're worrying about how much is going to go bad. Like the stuff only lasts for like 2 weeks refrigerated. So it's like, do they want this to end?
I don't think they do, honestly. And you look at what Cuomo's done with these small businesses when we started to go down.
Gavin Newsom.
Again, Gavin Newsom as well. I actually found this out from one of my friends out there. They're struggling right now getting people in hospitals. But I think just a few weeks ago they had to close it down. But they had a movie studio set up in the emergency room for a TV show.
So the hospital is supposedly seeing this big influx of new cases.
And they kept the TV studio open.
And they're letting them shoot a TV show inside the emergency room of the hospital. So it doesn't sound like there's a dire need for emergency room space if we can rent out the emergency room as a studio for some Hollywood production. And you know, I've been flying off the handle about this. It's like there's 2 different sets of laws. Gavin Newsom's out in French Laundry spending, $500 a head, $1,000 bottles of wine with all the rich people, and telling everybody else you got to wear your mask between bites on Thanksgiving. Governor Cuomo is sitting there saying he's going to fly his mom in and his daughters will be over, and then he's seen out at a party with his arm around some chick, and Nancy Pelosi's.
Were the nipple rings showing in that picture?
No, the nipple rings weren't showing.
See, I pay attention. We talked about that back in September.
I think he's making a concerted effort lately to not show the nipple rings, which is strange. But, it's not
people are onto him, that's why.
It's not a big deal, to be honest with you. If you have, some weird fetish, that's your thing, and it doesn't affect the way he governs. But the thing that affects the way he governs is his ego.
Yeah.
And his ego is, I'm the king, I'm the emperor. All you peasants, shut up. And we're seeing this same behavior. We're seeing it in Cali from Gavin Newsom. We saw it in Washington over the summer. Remember when they had the autonomous zone? They took over. It was the mayor of Seattle said, "Oh, it's going to be it's like a street fair. It's going to be a summer of love or something like that." So, tale of two states, tale of two countries, really. And all right, we got to take a quick break. I specifically had a bunch of our guests cancel today so that I can spend this 2 hours with Mike. We will have Dr. Melanie Burkholder, a former U.S. Secret Service agent, in hour 2, along with Mark Smith, GOP congressional strategist. And then finally, of course, Barry Goldsmith, our esteemed writer and professor from NYU, will join us with some funnies for you so he can crack you up.
Yep.
We'll take a quick break, a little more Liquid Lunch on Mikey's last day, right after this.